Halo Infinite, man, talk about a game with its ups and downs. The game was delayed by a year in order for the developers to just bolster the technical aspects of the game, which were noticeably lacking when they first showed off the gameplay demo of the game. And that year definitely paid off. Things definitely looked a lot better, and the core mechanics of the game play really well, and it's an overall fun game, but the live service aspect is really not going very well. Early on, when the game launched, there was a lot of talk about the progression issues surrounding the game, which I don't believe have fully been fixed. But you look at the state of the game now in terms of how many players are engaging with it, and you can see there's been a drastic downturn in the number of people who keep coming back. Better than Battlefield 2042 and whatnot, but that's not a tall bar to really meet. 24-hour peak of almost 10,000 players, that's not bad or the worst thing ever, but for a game that peaked at 256,000, and given this is a live service that's meant to go on for years and years, you'd expect a higher turnout on a daily basis, and that's just not happening with Halo Infinite. And then when you look at reviews, recently you'll see that the game's garnered an overall mixed review score of 53%. Overall, still relatively positive at 76%, but these recent reviews are certainly disconcerting. So the question then becomes, why is this happening? Where is Halo Infinite struggling? Why is it losing players? Where is the danger in the, what I would say, mishandling of this particular live service? Well, first of all, let's talk about the single player campaign. One of the most awaited features is co-op, and we were told we're going to get that at the beginning of Season 2. Well, to the misfortune of many who've been waiting, what has been a marquee feature of Halo campaigns, with many people looking forward to play through the campaign with a partner, the co-op feature has been delayed even further, as detailed in this blog post from the Halo Waypoint website. Scrolling down, you'll find the relevant quote in question: "Work on campaign co-op. We're making great progress on campaign network co-op, and to be clear, this work has been occurring in parallel to Season 2 work, as has our work on Forge. But the reality is that it's going to take more time to land a high-quality, full-featured, 4-player network co-op experience in the massive, wide-open world of Halo Infinite. We are also committed to a great 2-player split-screen co-op experience on all Xbox consoles, from OG Xbox One through Xbox Series X, and the non-linear wide-open sections of the campaign present some big challenges for split-screen that have taken us some time to solve. All this means that we will not be able to ship campaign network co-op on May 3rd at the start of Season 2, but we will still be aiming to deliver campaign network co-op later in Season 2, and we will share a release date for that and for split-screen co-op as soon as we can." Now look, on one hand, I don't feel like they're necessarily wrong in their decision. If the co-op feature isn't ready, it's just not ready, and I'd rather they launch it right, even if it takes a delay or two for that to happen. On the other hand, it still sucks that this is happening, because it does feel like Halo Infinite needed like 6 months to, hell, maybe another year worth of delays in order for it to be feature complete, because Halo Infinite did launch in a state that feels unfinished, both in the single player with the co-op feature missing and whatnot, and then the multiplayer, the free-to-play aspect. It feels like the progression and the roadmap and all these things weren't fully thought out, and so now it feels like the developers are playing catch up with not enough new updates and content to keep people engaged in this game for the long term. And so the combination of the two is really dragging down the optics surrounding Halo Infinite, and you can see for yourself on Reddit, people already talking about this co-op delay to later in Season 2. One of the top comments reads as follows: "Bro, what in the F were they going to release before the game got delayed the first time? There's no way it had more content than a freaking demo. The game was delayed by a year. It was planned to be launched a year prior to when it actually did. And I have to wonder just, how was the state of the game then, and features like co-op? Even after a year, co-op isn't ready, and it certainly does raise some questions as to what might have happened behind the scenes. I understand that implementing co-op in a more open world environment, it makes things more complicated than previous Halo games, but at the same time, it does feel like the developers have had plenty of time, and now people are growing impatient, even if it ultimately is the correct thing to delay something that isn't ready. Still aiming is delay talks, says another Reddit user. Don't expect it until very late Season 2, but more likely Season 3. Hell, that may very well be a possibility. They haven't confirmed exactly when the co-op feature is coming out, and it's gonna take as long as it takes, hopefully sooner rather than later. One user responded, they're aiming, but Desync is making them miss their shots. Desync has been a major issue these past few months, and I'll get to that one in a bit. But yeah, more frustrations being expressed. Hey, F this company, I'm just gonna go play Elden Ring with my friends instead, and Master Chief Collection when I feel the itch. And then here's one more. Just remember, this game was supposed to release in November of 2020. Just imagine the state of the game back then. And beyond what feels like poor planning, fans are also frustrated at the lackluster communication, a missing roadmap, just a general lack of direction as to where this long-term live service is supposed to be headed. It just feels like people are in the blind, waving their arms about, hoping they'll hold on to something. And then what doesn't help optics is the fact that a bunch of key developers that worked on Halo Infinite are leaving 343 Industries, like the lead multiplayer designer. Andrew Witz had joined the developer in 2019, overseeing the development of Halo Infinite's free multiplayer mode. In a short tweet, he said his goodbye, saying, "This is my last day at 343 Industries," published back in March 4th, 2022. "It's been an honor leading the MP design team over the years," etc., etc. And then on top of that, lead narrative designer Aaron Lind left for Riot Games. Creative director Tim Longo and project director Chris Lee stepped down from their roles in 2019 and 2020 respectively. It just feels like there's been a high turnaround of high-level employees, of influential staff members and developers and workers and creative heads, and just general stats surrounding Halo Infinite don't look great. Forbes here reported the Halo Infinite numbers we can see do not look great. We already took a look at the concurrent players, which has vastly diminished over the course of the past few months since the game's launch. But beyond that, Forbes highlights here how Halo Infinite is on the verge of falling out of the top 10 most played games on Xbox. Keep in mind that Halo is basically Xbox's mascot, and on Xbox, this game is struggling to be top 10 most played games on the platform where it essentially calls home. And old favorites that do have engaged long-term player base like Apex, Fortnite, Warzone, GTA 5, Destiny, Roblox, and Rainbow Six Siege have all passed it. On Twitch, things aren't going any better, and, Twitch viewership does kind of showcase the amount of engagement among content creators and viewers, and in turn, just the general player base, and seeing numbers being poor on Twitch really doesn't paint great optics either. Halo Infinite is a poor performer on Twitch outside of major events. It routinely has sub 1,000 viewers, 704 at the time I'm writing this, putting it far outside the top 100 most watched games on Twitch most of the time. Halo Infinite was supposed to be Xbox's big release, and yet not long after launch, it is failing to retain Twitch viewership, which in turn will discourage content creators from making more content out of this game that just feels so dehydrated, and that in turn will mean less viewers, and this vicious cycle continues, and that's how live services can kind of fall off. As a matter of fact, Twitch viewership surrounding Halo Infinite has gotten so bad that at one point, Halo the Master Chief Collection, which is a much older title, surpassed it in concurrent viewers. Right here you can see, as tweeted by Mint Blitz, Master Chief Collection had 2K viewers on March 13th versus Halo Infinite's 1.8K. Looking at the numbers now, that's no longer the case. Halo Infinite, late at night right now, is sitting at 1.7K viewers, whereas MCC is looking at only 283, but the fact that it can get close from time to time is not great news given how much older the previous Halo games are. This finally brings us to all of the user complaints and player complaints surrounding the botched live service component of Halo Infinite that many are hoping will make some kind of resurgence once things start rolling, once we get Season 2 going, but for now, fans are not particularly optimistic. Here is a Reddit post that garnered almost 10,000 upvotes from almost a month ago that reads, "Lucid is spot on with this take. He is telling it like it is." And this is what Lucid said. "At this pace, I suppose, very little is coming to Infinite until next season. For a live service game, this just isn't acceptable." And you'll see as I keep going through Reddit posts, this sentiment sort of continues throughout the course of the last month, approaching today even. Here's another Reddit post with even higher upvotes, 11.5k just 24 days ago. It reads, some advice for the next game 343. Don't spoon-feed players content once every 3 to 6 months. Mint Blitz tweeted, Halo players are literally begging for new content at this point. Please rotate new playlists into the game every few weeks. The handling of playlists for Halo Infinite has been atrocious, especially given how previous games handled it. They're basically sort of drip feeding content and rotating them instead of just letting content be. The Act Man, a YouTuber, responded, waited years for MCC to get fixed, waited over a year for Halo 5 to get an appropriate amount of content, and now we're waiting for Infinite to get more content. I am so tired of every release being a constant waiting game. Indeed, that's what's so frustrating about all of this. It's not the first time it's happened for the Halo series, and certainly for the AAA landscape as a whole. This seems to be a repeat offense. It feels like publishers are not learning from their mistakes, and we keep having to call out the same crap over and over and over again. And so I understand the lack of tolerance towards a live service situation like this, where the live service is not live at all, or it certainly doesn't feel that way, and players are waiting way too long for what was promised to be realized. Here's another Reddit post highlighting a response from 343 where they guarantee that the feedback is being listened to. I can 100% guarantee you aren't talking to a brick wall, my friend. Stuff takes time. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality. We want to make players happy as much as players want to be happy. It just takes time. That's the reality, and the response has not been sympathetic. How did this game almost come out in 2020? I can't imagine the state would have launched in if it hadn't been delayed. As for this guy, guys, gals, we're pretty much just going to have to walk away from the game and come back when the Season 2 update is worth it. Outside the Tactical Slayer event in March, I don't really plan on playing much between now and May, because there's just nothing to do between now and May except to wait, keep fingers crossed, and hope that Season 2 will become the true launching point. And I definitely understand the sentiment that these things take time. I'm not saying developers shouldn't take their time with the content or updates that they're working on. All I'm saying is people already waited their time and were told the game would be ready by this day, and would have been, for the most part, not maybe everyone, but generally people would have been patient if there was another delay, if the cause was to ensure the game was in the best state possible, the most feature-complete state possible, but it launched the way it did anyway, even after the year-long delay, and people did the waiting expecting a complete package, and that's just not what they got. So I hope on the other side of the fence, developers understand the frustrations on the part of fans in the community. And then when on top of that, there's just not a whole lot of communication or any sort of insight as to what the future holds, the frustration will only mount. We were promised a roadmap back in January. It'll be March in 2 days. This was just 19 days ago, almost 4,500 upvotes. Even their delays are delayed, says this top comment. Moving on, we got this user. Anyone else tired of begging for the bare minimum? Pretty self-explanatory, just 18 days ago and almost 7,000 upvotes already. Other people saying, I just want the game to work, understanding the potential that it holds, understanding just this game could be amazing if it were just ready and feature complete. And to really highlight how little content we have gotten over the course of this live service, check out this visual calendar highlighting when we got certain key updates for Halo Infinite. We can see right here that the game's beta multiplayer surprise launch happened on November 15th, 2021. On the 19th, we got 50 XP per game and then an XP boost time double because there were so many complaints surrounding the game's awful progression, just how slow and grindy it was. And then we got a couple more things in terms of XP payouts. And then on December 8th was when the single-player campaign launched and when the multiplayer went out of beta and officially released, as indicated here. Then BTB break, playlist added, a hotfix, update to shop model. Yep, of course, the shop would be a priority. BTB fix number 1, that didn't really work. BTB fix number 2. update, rank reset, mid-season update. From there, another popular and trending post on the Halo subreddit is this one right here with over 11,000 upvotes. And this post complains about how long it's been since a roadmap was promised and yet it hasn't been delivered. It has been officially 1 month since Joe Staten has stated that a roadmap is his top priority. Is there any updates you can share? This was from 17 days ago. And scrolling down, people seem equally frustrated. Just wait until they delay Season 2. You know it's coming. I certainly hope not. That'd be disastrous, but who knows? Somebody else joked that basically this is the girl who ghosted you. Move on, find something else to fill your time. At best, you're caught in the friend zone. But yeah, this has been a common occurrence where they say we're going to prioritize communication, and then communication just stops for too long of a stretch of time. Others compared past Halo entries, post-launch DLC release schedule versus Halo Infinite's. There's a post from 14 days ago with over 5,000 upvotes, and putting it in this context, you can really see just how lackluster Halo Infinite has been on this front. With Halo Infinite Season 2 launching on May 3rd, Halo Infinite will be the longest launch of any Halo title without DLC at 169 days. Nice, but not really. Compared to other entries, Halo 2 comes in closest at 167 days, but Halo 2 wasn't really even a live service. Halo 3, 77 days, Halo Wars, 82 days, etc. Halo Reach, 77, Halo 4, 34, Halo 5, 22, and Halo Wars 2, 28 days. From there, we have complaints about what little communication there has been and the kind of communication that has been, like how after seeing Postum's lame excuse of not understanding, I'm fully convinced this game is a train wreck on 343 side. Playlists being among the things that they really screwed up, and that's brought up in this post, with one of the top responses saying, I'm so confused how they fixed the Master Chief Collection with a good playlist system and Battle Pass system, and then learned nothing from that and released this greedy progression system. And that's what the progression system feels like. Greedy. And I get that it's free to play and that it needs to monetize somehow, but even free to play has certain lines that can be crossed, and Halo Infinite, they just went way too far with it. And they're trying to fix it, but, it's all kind of getting backed up. It's all taking too long, and it's just very frustrating. As for this complaint right here, this is just from 2 days ago, which once again highlights that this has been a persistent issue throughout the past few months, and not just the first week or the first month of launch. It is still an ongoing issue that this is not a live service that is generating enough compelling content. It's been over 4 months since Infinite Multiplayer released. We were promised a roadmap in January. We still don't have one. What the hell is going on inside 343 Studios? And then on top of all of that, the frustration surrounding the delayed co-op, the frustration surrounding the lack of communication and the lack of content, we have the desync issues that is disrupting gameplay, as reported here by News Salad Game Rant. Halo Infinite rocket launcher gameplay clip shows just how bad the desync issue have gotten, and it's not just this rocket launcher gameplay. You'll see a number of clips throughout the course of the next few minutes from Reddit highlighting this, and yeah, it looks pretty bad. But when it comes to the rocket launcher clip, here it is. 343, please fix. You can see right here that, this player's going ham at this dude, but desync has led to the player not earning the victory that he should have gotten had the game been properly synced. There are also issues with grenades magnetically attaching themselves to players when thrown instead of bouncing around as they should. You can see an example of that right here when the player throws a grenade in there. Look what happens. What the hell is that? That's some BS right there. Next up, we are shown what happens when desync happens during melee attacks, which should often kill in 1 or 2 shots, but this player, going ham on this player with melee, nothing's happening, and then he's the one who gets killed because of the desync problem, where the enemy just sort of rubber bands around and gets the upper hand on the player. Next up, does the store sell extra health now as this player fails to kill the enemy despite, landing some pretty good shots there? Look at all this. This definitely does not look right. Here we have among the most popular posts in the last month with almost 24,000 upvotes. Well, I guess Infinite is getting uninstalled for a while. This is absolutely ridiculous. You can see what he means by this. The shots are landing very clearly, and with that many shots, the enemy should have been dead, and yet the player gets 1 shot instead, while the enemy gets to continue running along with captured flag. Desync issues are definitely affecting players' ability to execute a basic function of the game. The whole point of the game, which is to shoot the enemy player. But when they're not able to do so reliably, you get results like this where it's absolute BS. Here's someone who said this was their breaking point 20 days ago, almost 15,000 upvotes. Here's what this clip looks like. There's just so many of these throughout Reddit, throughout social media. It's just so clear that this needs to be a top priority. Desync and these inconsistent... look at that. That should not have missed at all. The melee especially, people are really complaining about. It's becoming a major, major disruption that's making some people feel like the game just isn't playable for them at this stage when their skills and their efforts aren't properly represented. Here's one more for good measure. I'm going to pause this one earlier because, well, it's a pretty extensive clip. This is basically a parody trailer showing the desync issues, my Halo multiplayer experience in a nutshell. And you'll see a number of examples where the player experiences some BS behavior on the part of the game, or just getting killed right from spawn. There's that too, but look at that BS right there. And then for some reason gets rubber banded back and then gets shot and then dies. Melee doesn't land properly there. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Melee doesn't land there either. So you can watch that whole clip for yourself if you want. It'll be linked in the description below. But at this point, I feel like you get the idea. The game just, on the player side of things, what they're seeing versus what is happening is not matching up. It's all way out of whack. And it's starting to disincentivize people from continuing to play this game because it's straight up just being unfair to them. There are also still complaints about progression, mainly some of the challenges and how it basically relies on chance like this one right here. 343 Industries still haven't gotten the hint that challenges dependent on enemy player performance and luck are bad. What does this user mean by that? Well, checking out this image and zooming in, you'll see that one of the challenges is streak accident, stop enemy killing sprees within Tactical Slayer. The enemy actually has to be on a killing streak in the first place, and that is something that the player who is trying to get this challenge cannot control. What the enemy does or doesn't do, how skilled the enemies are, it's just not a good challenge that relies too much on enemy activity instead of what you do as a player. It also incentivizes you and the team to sort of let yourself be killed so that the enemy can go on a kill streak so that you can then kill them. And that way you can complete the challenge. Beyond some of these challenges sucking, it also turns out that some players are having trouble with challenges tracking properly. So here's a Reddit post titled "Stop Killing Spree in Tactical Slayer," highlighting how this user also got one of those challenges where you have to end an enemy player's killing streak, which is just a really crappy and not fun challenge. And below that, you'll find somebody saying, anyone else's challenge is straight up not progressing. Played 2 matches where I definitely should have made progress. Enough. This has been widely reported enough that it's clearly an issue that needs to be resolved, and it isn't just some isolated incident. Now, some say it's related to whether you kill bots instead of players. Others say that when an enemy quits a match before you get credit for a challenge, then the challenge you fulfilled might not count, so on and so forth. But nobody seems to be 100% sure about why this stuff happens. And to close things off, a few other issues that some players have highlighted, like armor coatings and cores still being unsatisfying, the cosmetic customization. A lot of people miss how the older Halo titles did it, where you have these different parts and you can pick your colors for them instead of the more restrictive system that Halo Infinite enforces, where you have essentially a preset color combination and there's, monetization involved, and it just isn't anywhere near as customizable as it should be. People would like, piece by piece customization, with the only charge being on, certain textures or armor pieces or whatnot that feel like some effort went into it that goes beyond just your basic colors. If it's like a pattern or something, then cool. A pattern that actually feels intricate and isn't just some basic crap. But the most basic of customization features just feel too locked away behind grind or behind pay. Generally, the Halo community is not happy with the state of Halo right now, especially where Infinite is concerned. And many, many players, based on these numbers right here, that have clearly moved on. 343 have to knock Season 2 out of the park to bring back players and to show that Halo Infinite isn't just here to stay until it whimpers out, but it's here to stay for the long term. But I suppose only time will tell. I don't want Halo Infinite to fail because there's so much potential there. The core of it is very, very fun in my experience. It's just everything else surrounding it needs to be bolstered, needs to treat players better, communication needs to be better, and the content updates just have to be more frequent, more substantial. But whether the team is equipped for that remains to be seen, given that right now it feels like they're playing catch up. But we'll see what happens. I do wish this game the best of luck, But until we find out more, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the current state of Halo Infinite. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.